That was a it's a really painful time. I'm sorry.
Jada Pinkett Smith shocked the world in late 2023 when opened up about a big secret she's been keeping. She and Will Smith have been separated for 7 years. For her, sharing this news felt like a huge weight lifted off her shoulders. But this isn't the only secret Jada has carried throughout her life. Her journey has been full of challenges, many of which the public is only now beginning to understand. Behind her success, Jada has faced more adversity than most realize, fighting hard for every blessing she's received. Let's dive deeper into the struggles and remarkable rise of Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith grew up with a heroin-addicted mom. Jada Pinkett Smith has spoken candidly about the challenges she faced growing up, including the fact that her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, gave birth to her at a very young age. In an early episode of Red Table Talk, Jada and her mom opened up about an especially painful chapter from Jada's childhood. Banfield Norris had struggled with heroin addiction for much of it. "I think I didn't find out my mother was addicted to heroin until I was in my teens," Jada revealed. "I could tell when my mother was high. She couldn't make it on time to pick me up from school. Or she'd be nodding off, falling asleep in the middle of something. You just realize, oh, that's not being tired. That is like a drug problem." Although Banfield Norris has been sober since the 1990s, the impact of her addiction left emotional scars on her daughter. "The emotional damage and the spiritual damage that I did to myself and to her, that was devastating," Norris admitted. Despite this difficult past, the two women have worked hard to heal their relationship and are incredibly close today. Their bond has grown even stronger over the years, with Banfield Norris stepping in to help raise Jada's children when she needed support. Jada expressed deep gratitude for this during an episode of Red Table Talk, saying, "It helped me so much because if I didn't have you, I wouldn't have been able to do The Matrix. I wouldn't have been able to keep working. You went with me everywhere, and because of you, I was able to have my children with me. So, thank you." She used to deal drug in her teens. Jada Pinkett Smith's early life in Baltimore was deeply impacted by the widespread presence of drugs, both at home and in the streets. Her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, was battling a heroin addiction, while the surrounding neighborhood was consumed by drug culture. In an interview with People in October 2023, Jada explained how inescapable drugs were in her environment. "Drugs were going to touch you, period. You could use them, you could sell them. But there was no being in an environment like that and drugs not touch you," she said. In order to survive and gain some semblance of control over her life, Jada made the difficult decision to become a drug dealer. Her intention wasn't to get involved with drugs for personal use, but rather to make enough money to be self-reliant. "I wasn't trying to use drugs," she explained, "but I wanted money so that I could be independent. I wanted to take care of myself." The financial security her dealings provided gave her a temporary solution, but it came at a high cost. The illegal activity placed her in dangerous situations, and she acknowledged that her choices caused harm to others. "It put me into a lot of danger, and I hurt a lot of people along the way," she admitted, looking back on that turbulent time in her life. During this dark period, Jada also crossed paths with Tupac Shakur, a friendship that would become one of the most iconic connections of her life. However, their journeys were diverging just as they met. In a 2017 interview with Sway's Universe, Jada revealed that she was ready to leave the street life behind just as Tupac was becoming more deeply involved in it. When Smith finally left Baltimore, the bold and vigilant spirit she'd exhibited in her dealings became her tools for surviving the cutthroat entertainment business in Los Angeles. She was devastated by Tupac's death. Jada Pinkett Smith and Tupac Shakur formed a close bond when they met on her first day at the Baltimore School for the Arts. Initially, Jada didn't think Tupac was someone she'd naturally gravitate toward, but he quickly drew her in like a magnet. Their connection blossomed into a deep platonic friendship, which endured even after Jada moved to Los Angeles and Tupac was sent to prison. However, after his release, things between them began to change. In an interview with Howard Stern, Jada explained how their relationship took a turn. "We had a very hardcore disagreement. I just wasn't in agreement with the direction that he was taking. He felt as though I had changed." She reflected that Tupac's mentality at the time was crucial for his survival, and while she now understands why he felt that way, it caused a rift between them. "It was a mentality that he started to come out of before he was murdered," she added. Though this wasn't the first time they had stopped speaking, Jada deeply regretted not reconciling with him before his death in 1996. She wished she had told him that she still loved him. To this day, Jada remains emotional about losing Tupac. Speaking with Sway's Universe, she opened up about how much his friendship meant to her during a difficult time in her life. "When you have somebody that has your back when you feel like you're nothing, that's everything," she said, reflecting on the impact Tupac had on her life. Jada Pinkett Smith once pulled a knife on her ex-boyfriend. Jada Pinkett Smith has shared that, while she has never been in a physically abusive relationship, she once felt deeply threatened by an ex-boyfriend. On a November 2018 episode of Red Table Talk, she recounted a terrifying experience with an ex she described as a sweet guy, but with tendencies of violence. One night, his aggressive behavior left her feeling so scared that she took matters into her own hands to protect herself. "I remember grabbing a big old knife from the kitchen and hiding in his son's room," she said. "I'll never forget. He came through the back sliding door, creeping like he was going to sneak up on me. When he approached her, she confronted him. I came out of his son's bedroom and said, 'Don't come near me.' He gave me that line you always hear in movies. 'You think I would hurt you? I would never do that to you.' In that moment, I realized I was in real trouble." Jada credits Spike Lee with helping her escape that dangerous situation. At the time, he had been calling her about a role in Girl 6, and she used that opportunity to leave. "I used Spike as an excuse to get on that plane," she explained, grateful that the timing allowed her to safely walk away from the relationship. The star has battled addiction. Jada Pinkett Smith has been open about her family's history of addiction, revealing on Red Table Talk that she wasn't immune to its grip either. She shared that her struggles with addiction have taken various forms over the years. "I definitely think I had a sex addiction of some kind," she admitted, explaining that at the time, she believed sex could solve all her problems. Reflecting on that period, Jada said it wasn't just the act itself, but the reasons behind it that signaled a deeper issue. "It's not what you're doing, but why you're doing it. If you want to have a lot of sex, that's great. But the real question is, why are you having all that sex? That's where you need to focus." She described herself as someone who tends to binge and develop multiple addictions, saying, "I always have to watch myself and how I can get obsessed with things." One of her most alarming wake-up calls came during a rock-bottom moment with alcohol. "I was in the house by myself, and I had 2 bottles of wine and was going for the third. That's when I realized, hold up, you're in this house by yourself, reaching for a 3rd bottle of wine. You might have a problem." That realization prompted Jada to quit cold turkey, marking a significant turning point in her battle with addiction. She contemplated to end her life. Jada Pinkett Smith has been candid about how drugs and addiction shaped her life from an early age, eventually leading her to a dark and difficult place. On an episode of Red Table Talk, she opened up about a particularly low point when she was 20 years old and contemplated suicide. In a moment of panic, she called her mother for help. "I had an emotional breakdown that really affected my mental stability," she shared. "I had made it to LA, achieved some success, but I quickly realized that success wasn't the answer. It didn't fix everything. In fact, it made things worse. I became extremely suicidal." She admitted, somewhat jokingly, that she had believed success would somehow make her immune to emotional pain. At first, Jada turned to Prozac to cope. They put me on it just to get me to a place where I could talk about what was happening. So I could function, she explained. But the medication had an unintended side effect. It killed her sex drive. Frustrated by that, she eventually stopped taking it. Therapy didn't provide the relief she was looking for either, so Jada decided to take matters into her own hands. I had to dig deep and uproot some false beliefs, she said. I also had to let go and come to terms with what life really is. Though she chose to quit both therapy and medication, Jada acknowledged that these treatments are vital and effective for many people. They just weren't the right fit for her. She and Will had serious marital struggles. Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith have faced some serious challenges in their marriage. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jada opened up about how, early on, she felt like she was living a life that looked perfect on the outside, but didn't feel true to who she really was. There was so much that wasn't me that I was living, she shared. Will, who joined her on the show, admitted that his efforts to spoil her with extravagant gifts, like a mansion and a lavish 40th birthday party, were more about fulfilling his own needs than hers. I realized I was building a picture, Will said. I grew up in a household where I was scared and watched my father beat my mother. So I was determined to create the exact opposite of that. I wanted to project a certain image of our relationship. Jada remembered feeling deeply unhappy but conflicted because everything seemed so perfect from the outside. There were times I felt ungrateful. I'd look at my life and think, how can you be so unhappy? I really thought I was going crazy, she admitted. Later in the episode, Will revealed that he and Jada actually separated for a time, though they never divorced. The couple eventually found their way back to each other. Jada learned how to find happiness within herself, and Will realized he had to set aside his ego to truly reconnect with her. Her daughter struggled with self-harm. Jada Pinkett Smith was visibly stunned during an episode of Red Table Talk when her 17-year-old daughter, Willow, revealed that she had secretly engaged in self-harm. Willow explained that it all started after the success of her single, Whip My Hair, when she was just 10 years old, and the pressure to continue making music began to weigh on her. After the tour and all the promotion, they wanted me to finish my album, she recalled. But I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. Then, when everything settled down, I was listening to a lot of dark music, and I just fell into this black hole. Willow admitted that only one friend knew about her self-harm at the time. When asked why she did it, she explained, I felt like I was going through so much emotional pain, but my life didn't reflect that. Cutting made the pain feel real, something I could point to instead of this ghost haunting my mind. Although shocked by the revelation, Jada didn't place the blame on herself. In a later interview with Ryan Seacrest, she explained, we can't be there for every dark moment our children go through. I understood that, because there were a lot of dark spaces in my own life that I kept hidden from my mother. I didn't want to burden her. Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia. While Jada Pinkett Smith always looks stylish in her signature headscarves, there's a personal reason behind her choice to wear them. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jada opened up about her ongoing struggle with hair loss, a condition that has been emotionally challenging for her. I was in the shower one day, and there were just handfuls of hair in my hands, she shared. I remember thinking, oh my God, am I going bald? It was one of those moments where I was literally shaking with fear. The experience of losing her hair led her to embrace the close-cropped, asymmetrical hairstyles she's become known for. Despite undergoing numerous tests, the exact cause of her hair loss remains a mystery. In a later Instagram video, Jada explained that she's been treating the condition with steroid injections, which have helped but haven't fully resolved the issue. Her hair loss was thrust into the spotlight again during the 2022 Oscars, one of the most talked-about ceremonies in recent history. During the show, comedian Chris Rock made a joke referencing Jada's bald look, comparing her to the character in G.I. Jane, who also sports a shaved head. In response, her husband, Will Smith, famously got up from his seat and slapped Rock in defense of his wife. Domestic violence was part of her childhood. Jada Pinkett Smith grew up witnessing her mother, Adrienne Banfield Jones, endure domestic abuse from her father. On an episode of Red Table Talk, Jada recalled a moment when she asked her mother about a scar on her back, which marked the first time she realized her mother had been a victim of domestic violence. Banfield Jones shared a particularly frightening memory of a time when she had to escape her own home to get away from the abuse. "He was really angry about something," she explained, referring to Jada's father, Robsel Pinkett Jr. "I don't even remember what we were fighting about, but he started hitting me in a rage. As I was backing out of Daddy's den into the master bedroom, I realized, oh my God, we left Jada. I knew he wouldn't hurt you, but the fear was overwhelming." The conversation brought Jada to tears, especially when a family friend shared her own heartbreaking experience with an abusive relationship. Hearing the guest's story resonated deeply with Jada, reflecting the trauma she had faced during her childhood. She had a complicated relationship with her father. In an episode of Red Table Talk, Jada Pinkett Smith opened up about her struggles with forgiving her late father, Robsel Pinkett Jr., who died from an overdose. Growing up, he wasn't present in her life and only reached out after she had achieved considerable success in her career. "The hardest part for me was when I finally made it, and then he wanted to have a relationship. That really hurt," she shared. When she got the news of his death, she recalled receiving a call from her half-brother, Khalib Pinkett. "The most difficult thing about his passing was that we had just had a terrible fight when I found out he had relapsed," she said. Khalib also discussed his relationship with their father, revealing that before his passing, they had a deep conversation about his struggles with drug use. "I was so angry and he told me, that's what the disease is. This is who I am. That hit me hard," he explained. "He was saying that even though this is part of him, he's still my father." Jada later reflected on how her complicated relationship with her dad influenced her romantic relationships as an adult. "You don't really notice it at first, but you end up expecting your partner to be the thing your father wasn't," she said. Jada Pinkett Smith cried for 45 days straight. The challenges in Jada Pinkett and Will Smith's marriage have become more apparent over the years. Through Will's memoir, Will and Jada's Red Table Talk, fans have gotten a glimpse into some of the darker moments in their relationship. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Will opened up about a particularly difficult time in their marriage that left Jada in tears. "There was a period when your mom cried for 45 days straight," he told their daughter, Willow, who was sitting with them at the table. "I started keeping a diary during that time," he continued. "Every morning I would write. I think that was the worst I've ever felt in our marriage. I was failing miserably." Fans may remember that Jada previously spoke about her romantic involvement with singer August Alsina during a period when she and Will were separated. "It had been so long since I felt good, and it was really a joy to help heal someone," she said during an episode of Red Table Talk, referencing her relationship with Alsina. Interestingly, this infamous entanglement ultimately brought them closer together. "One of the things I'm deeply grateful for in this whole process between us is that we've really reached a new place of unconditional love," Jada shared on the show. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have been separated since 2016. In an October 2023 interview with Today, ahead of the release of her memoir, Worthy, Jada Pinkett Smith surprised Hoda Kotb by revealing that she and Will Smith have been living separate lives since 2016. It was essentially an informal divorce, one that never went through any legal channels. Although the Smiths had mentioned a brief separation during a 2020 Red Table Talk episode, it didn't seem as serious at the time since they continued to present themselves as a couple in public. When asked why they maintained that front for so long, Jada explained, "I think we just weren't ready yet. We were still trying to figure out how to be in partnership and how to present that to people. We hadn't figured it out. Jada's shocking revelation also shed new light on Will's infamous slap at the 2022 Oscars. After Will yelled, "Keep my wife's name out your fing mouth," at comedian Chris Rock for making a hurtful joke about her alopecia, Jada was left in shock. "I was as surprised as anyone because Will and I hadn't referred to each other as husband and wife since 2016, she shared during an episode of On Purpose with Jay Shetty. There was even more to the situation, as Jada disclosed to People that Chris Rock had previously asked her out on a date amid false divorce reports years earlier. Inside Jada Pinkett Smith's life after her many shocking revelations. But now, as Jada turns 53 on September 18th, where does she stand? On September 1st, she shared a post reflecting on the end of summer, noting that her heart has been blooming in so many ways. The following day, she set her Instagram to private and posted a graphic that read, "A man can choose to belong to someone. And if he does, he is considered noble. A woman is told she must belong to someone, or she is not worthy." In her caption, she delved deeper into how women, even those seen as goddesses, are often viewed as powerless or incomplete without a male partner. "We mere mortal women are worthy simply because we exist," Jada asserted. She further emphasized, "If we choose to bond with someone from this space, we will create monumental love and give birth to treasures." The Queen continues to keep her 10.9 million Instagram followers guessing with her occasional mysteries. Meanwhile, Will has been busy traveling the globe. He's been from Italy, where he enjoyed some time on a yacht with Johnny Depp, and participated in a tribute to Andrea Bocelli in his hometown of Lajatico, to Switzerland, Spain, and Lake Como, where he drag raced on the water against Rafael Nadal. He even stopped by Azerbaijan, where he reunited with his friend Lewis Hamilton at the Ferrari garage, before heading to Brazil for a performance at Rock in Rio on September 19th. While they haven't shared many glimpses of their summer travels together, Jada did give Will a heartfelt shout-out on Father's Day, posting a sweet photo of him catching some sleep while surrounded by his wife, mother-in-law Adrienne Banfield Norris, and their kids, son Trey Smith from his previous marriage, Jaden and Willow. Jada was also by Will's side in Dubai for the world premiere of Bad Boys, Ride or Die on May 23rd, and just a week later, she joined the entire family on the red carpet at the movie's LA premiere. This marked their first public appearance since she disclosed their separation in October 2023. It seems they're finding ways to connect rather than lead separate lives. "We are together," Jada told NPR's Brittany Lewis on the It's Been a Minute podcast in February. "But we are together in a way that works for us, and that's really difficult to explain." She acknowledged that they're not your average couple, but that they enjoy what we are. Reflecting on her relationship with Will as a masterpiece of connection during her book tour last year, Jada explained, "I think everybody's life is their own work of art, and then we have many pieces within it. I have a lot of ideas around marriage, and I think it can be one of the most powerful dynamics." Jada Pinkett Smith shared some hard-earned advice for anyone expecting non-stop marital bliss. "If you're looking to stay in a cycle of romanticism, to remain in the honeymoon stage, to avoid betrayal and pain, and to dodge dealing with your own issues as well as someone else's, then don't get married. Just date," she said. She elaborated with a metaphor about relationships. "You can't make a cake with all sugar. In one lifetime, we've experienced about 20 different ones. If I had to describe our union, I'd say it's like a tapestry." Having graduated from the Baltimore School for the Arts, Jada has also returned to painting. "I love textures," she explained. "Right now, I'm really playing with that, enjoying the contrast between beauty and roughness and finding balance in both." She expressed immense pride in watching her daughter, Willow, discover her voice as a singer. "Seeing her perform makes my heart light up," Jada said, adding with a laugh, She does it so much better than I ever did. Let's just start there. Jada fondly recalled how, when Willow was just 5, she would bring her to clubs while performing with her new metal band, Wicked Wisdom. I'd have her on the shoulders of one of my security guards, she reminisced, and she loved it. I have to give her props, Jada continued. I'm a performer, but Willow is a musician, and there's a big difference. For Jada, there's no greater gift than witnessing her daughter unapologetically express so many different sides of herself. Having navigated the ups and downs of sharing one's truth with the world, Jada said, "The courage to embrace all aspects of ourselves, despite the disappointment, anger, and resentment that come with letting go of romantic ideals, is part of the freedom and empowerment of being a woman." Since the release of her memoir, Worthy, she has been decompressing from the book, noting, "It's one of the projects I'm most proud of in a long time." And because the relationship with yourself is the greatest masterpiece, she concluded, "I'm always working on Jada. That's a constant journey." What do you think about Jada's approach to marriage and self-identity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this insight into Jada's life compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content exploring the tragedy of Jada Pinkett Smith and her remarkable journey.